Welcome to the Party Pals, GRC Mafia. So today I really wanted to go through on the NotebookLM. This is a resource that I've been sharing a lot lately, and I do have the Pro Edition itself. So not all of these different features are going to be available to you if you do not have the Google AI Pro version, which is $20 a month. But there's some really awesome, powerful tools that you guys can leverage out of NotebookLM. And then also, as I've discussed, I've been dropping some of these different notebooks that I've been creating on some of the resources I go through. And now you can go through and share these publicly for anybody to go through as well. So that's another big thing that I've been working on. And I'm going to go through and showcase like some of the different features that are pretty useful here. So up here on the screen, I have the AWS Reinforce 2025. You can have up to 300. You can go through. Now, again, on the free version, you're going to be pretty limited on a lot of these features, but on the pro version, you could add websites, YouTube links, you could do Google Slides or even import a Google Doc. You could even go through and do the copied text as well. You can upload PDF documents. You could go through and add Markdown and all kinds of other things in here as well. So this is all of the YouTube videos for the AWS Reinforce 2025, 174 of them. And this was inspired by cyber.com, which also sponsors our monthly giveaways. And I'll put all of these links in the description below as well. But so that's some of the ways that you can add sources. The really unique thing with NotebookLM is right now I have all of these sources linked. Okay, you can see I have all of them marked here. And what I can do is, okay, I'm going to go through these. And I'm going to say, okay, well, I want to only do this deep dive right here. This video right here is the only one I want to cite. All right. And so I just have that single one selected. So now when I go through and I type something out, you can see right down here, it says one source. So then let's see, what is this? So a deep dive into Amazon VPC. Okay, so I can go ahead and ask, what is a VPC? And now it's only going to cite that one resource. And this is where it gets really powerful, is because now I'm going to show a couple other examples here in a moment as well on how you could really leverage this particular resource, because now it's citing out to just that one resource. So you can also go ahead and hover over the citations that it has, and all of these are going to be inside of that document. See, like if I click on that, it's going to open up the transcript and highlight the section that it's referencing based on the response that it has. So that's one of the biggest things that I like to use AI for, is the citations. Then you can actually verify that what it's saying is actually true and where it's getting this information from. And so NotebookLM is kind of, I wouldn't say that it's a dumbed down AI, but it really limits what it can pull from. So it's not just going to the open web using Google and so forth for its information and knowledge. It's pulling from the resources you provide to it. And that's how it can be really, really awesome. And so that's a really cool feature there. But if you open up one of these resources, like we'll go ahead and open this up again, I can go through and I could watch the YouTube video. I can go ahead and minimize the source guide, and I could go ahead and play this YouTube video. And so I could watch this. I can come over here and I can add a note. I can go ahead and watch the YouTube video. I can go ahead and change this note to, VPC lattice, NIS 341. All right. And then I can go ahead and watch this YouTube video. And then as I go through it, I can go ahead and mark out like question 1, question 2, and so forth. And although there's not an option to associate the note with the particular source it's going to, I can just use that as the name, and then I can mark out my questions. And then after this is done, after I go through the video or otherwise, or even if I wanted to pause the video, then I can come in here and I could be like, okay, well, I marked down this one question. I want to learn more about this particular topic of whatever. I could prompt it. I could read the responses and so forth. But then it doesn't just end there. So also with a larger resource like this with 174 different videos, another really cool thing is you can go through, you could modify. So if you click up here, you could see configure notebook. I can go ahead and change this to respond differently. So like I could type in a custom response and be like, oh, respond to me like I'm 7 years old, so that way, or use plain language, you could do all kinds of different customizations with that. I usually will go with guide or analyst. Especially one of the things I've noticed is analyst works really well when you generate the map, the mind map that I'll show you in a moment. And then also, especially for mind map, I go through and do longer, but also sometimes I'll go through and do shorter. That's one of the biggest issues I've seen, is even on shorter responses, I still see that it responds at a very large length. For an example, I can go ahead and refresh this chat. And then you can see right here, mind map. If I scroll down over here, you could see I generated a mind map for all of these resources. So I had selected all of these resources, and this is the mind map that it generated. So based on this 174 videos, we now have it broken up by the domain, by like the actual domain that it's on. So of course, like you guys know, like I'm right up there with GRC. So bam, let's go ahead and pop that open. And then let's see, okay, there was discussions about cloud governance, risk mitigations, compliance and auditing. Okay, let's go ahead and pop that open. All right, bam. Okay, so audit manager maps resources to frameworks and gathers evidence. All right, CloudTrail, API activity, logs and evaluations, AWS config. Okay, I want to learn more about AWS config. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then now it's literally made, if you look at the response that it provided, you can actually see that it generated an entire prompt for it based on that one that I clicked on for AWS config. And now it's going to go through and explain to me about it. And then it's going to provide me citations as well. And this, if you guys didn't notice, I did select all of the sources before I open that up. And so like for an example, I could pop this open, and this is, best practices for managing governance. All right, awesome. And it even marks out the section that it's talking about and everything. And then I can come back over here. I can read through this. And then if I have a question or otherwise, I can go through and, prompt it again if I have any other questions. Or I could even be like, in short form, provide me just a brief understanding of what AWS config is and how I can get started with it. But now I'm going to go ahead and move over to this other resource here. So like this is the hacker's mindset. So if you guys are not familiar, B-Dubs, a community member and Study GRC VP, has her own cybersecurity GRC related blog. It's britwhite.io. I'll go ahead and put that in the description as well, along with these notebooks I'm showcasing. And so also what I did is I went through and I made an entire notebook LM for her blog articles. So now I can go through and I can actually select all of them and be like, what does B-Dubs say about time management? All right. And then, so I go ahead and prompt it with that. But then we get even more. If I go open up the mind map for this, here's all of the different topics that she's discussed so far in her articles. I could go ahead and open this up to GRC. And then here's, essential skills, key components, definitions of importance, and all kinds of other stuff that she's already discussed. If I have a question regarding any of this, or I want to dig deeper into one of these, I just click on it, and then it's also going to cite the resource that it comes from. So like PCI DSS, I think she's only gotten one article on that before. So what does B-Dubs say about time management? Bam. And then, prioritization, goal setting, time blocking, and so forth. Now, this last article that B-Dubs did is AI governance, hack the future. All right. So if I select just this one article, I can go through and also generate a podcast style audio for this too. And if I select just this one article, I can also go through, I could refresh this chat and I could do a mind map just on that one article. So now it's generating a mind map just for the AI governance. And so this is where it becomes powerful, is because you can select individual resources and you can go through and generate this stuff for individual sources and not just the entire thing. The AI governance mind map that it just generated based off of just a single article. And we can see all of the different stuff that's mentioned: critical business assets, GRC professional role, why AI governance matters now. Let's go ahead and click on that. And we're only using this one resource. Now it's going through and, grabbing that information out and presenting it to us with the citations and everything. But now let's go through and let's make a audio for this. So I have just the AI governance selected. I'm going to go ahead and say I want a shorter one because these articles typically aren't very long. And I'm going to say, focus on the importance of AI governance as it pertains to GRC. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and click generate. And you could see here, generating conversation based on one source. Now I'm going to go ahead and swap over to the next resource here while we wait for that, and we'll jump back over there. But now this is another one of the notebooks that I've made. This is the Active Defense and Cyber Deception course from Anti-Siphons. John Strand goes through every so often, and they have what they used to call pay what you can. Now they call it like pay it forward what you can. I've personally gone through this course twice, and it really kind of kills me that I can't keep taking the time to go through it. But I do try to go through and catch up on YouTube. because every single time there's more and more information that's shared and questions that are asked and so forth. And this is by far my favorite course from them. Highly recommend it. Now, for an example, I took all 20 different sessions that they've had. I went ahead and added all of these YouTube videos that they have for it. You could see here, like, the mind map is really powerful. This mind map is based on all 21 sources, and it breaks it up by core concepts. So especially in my mind, I'm more of a visual learner, so this makes it way easier for me because I could break this open and I could run off of this because, you know, a full 8-hour course seems like a lot and there are a lot of topics discussed, but this really helps me break down what are the actual topics that are discussed, what is actually being shared. Okay, I remember him mentioning about active defense, but what does that actually mean? Okay, so then I could break this all up using this mind map. And this is considering all 21 sources that are in here. I can go through each one of these one by one and break it down for myself. If I wanted to, if I just wanted to select the latest ones, or even just day one, so the day one from this last session, I can go through and I could delete this audio here, and I can also regenerate just based off of day one, or just based on day 2 or day 4. I can also go through and hit that customize button like I did on the hacker mindset one that's generating. And I could say, you know, just focus on the topic of, you know, passive defense. Okay, so if I wanted to just dig into one topic, I could say, just focus on the topic of poison versus venom and hacking back. Like, only discuss that. And then it's only going to generate a podcast that goes around that realm based off of the resources provided. And that's where I find this to be extremely powerful. Yeah, there's just so much you could do with this resource, and I really wanted to throw it out there and actually show everybody how I'm personally using this and how it could be useful. Some of the other features that are also on here, like timeline, any types of dates or people that are mentioned, it'll try to consolidate all of that into a single document as well. I wish this was more visual for the timeline, but this still can be really useful. And also you could see here that there's also a briefing document that you can generate. So this gives you a real high level view of like the overall purpose of the sources that you have provided, and gives you a really good breakdown of a lot of the different core areas on whatever you provide to it. And like, I don't have a source selected right now, but I can go ahead and select sources, and let's just select this last session here. And I could go through and I could generate a study guide as well. And I'll go back over to this other one real quick. So the Hacker's Mindset NotebookLM here. And you could see here we have a 5-minute and 28-second audio podcast. Let me actually go to the AWS one again. So like this AWS one with 174 videos, that's a lot of content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these one by one and study them and break them down with these options that are available inside of NotebookLM. But then I'm going to go through and I'm going to create my own note here. So I can do add note, and I could rename this as, you know, completed. Every time I complete a particular video, I can go ahead and mark it on here and say, you know, a practical guide. And so that way that helps me keep track. Something I would like NotebookLM to implement is A, more visuals, and B, to be able to actually mark these, like bookmark these, and be able to select like, oh, this has been completed, or change the color of the background for it, or something along those lines. I would find that to be very useful, but in the meantime, I just use a custom note to keep track of what I have completed so far. And if you guys have any questions or otherwise, definitely reach out, put it in the comments below. Catch us in Discord on the Study GRC Discord server. But yeah, GRC Mafia. You guys have a great weekend.